Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Live from the Batcave, deep beneath Pete Buttigieg's wine cave, his billionaire-infested wine cave. Folks, don't go into a wine cave alone. You might come out a centrist. So we've talked a lot about on this show about California and unelected tech billionaires in Silicon Valley. And there was an interesting op-ed piece that was sent to me by Faye Edelstein, who is a Patreon supporter. Faye, thank you so much. Now, there's some interesting stuff in this op-ed piece. There's some stuff I don't necessarily agree with, but overall, it's just showing how the state of California is becoming, there's serious haves and have-nots in this state. California used to have free college. It used to have a great education system, and now it's got a bunch of billionaires. It's got high homeless rates and all this stuff, and we're going to go into it. So this is the name of the article. The Golden State is on a path to high-tech feudalism, but there's still time to change the course. The Golden State is becoming a semi-feudal kingdom with the nation's widest gap between middle and upper incomes, 72%, compared with the U.S. average of 57%, and its highest poverty rate. First of all, 57% is offensive. That's too much. So the fact that California is higher than this is really horrible. And look, you know, last week I went to several anti-war with Iran rallies in downtown Los Angeles. And when you go to downtown Los Angeles, you know what you see? You see big fancy high-rise buildings, banks, and all this stuff. And you see high-rise condos and luxury apartments. And you see people living in tents. And I've been living in Los Angeles for over 20 years, and the last 2-3 years, it has gotten worse. It has gotten so much worse. And San Francisco is even worse than Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is pretty bad. Roughly half of America's homeless live in Los Angeles or San Francisco, which now has the highest property crime rate among major cities. San Francisco, you know, I was up there in May, and it used to be this beautiful city, and now there's all these homeless people, and there's just all these people working in Silicon Valley making all this money, and then there's all these people living on the street. Rents are too high. I interviewed a guy in this show who is a Patreon member who has a full-time job and has to live in his car because he can't afford the rent in the Bay Area. That's messed up. And it's really messed up in California because let's go into a little bit of the history. California benefited from comparatively late industrialization with an economy based less on auto manufacturing and steel than science-based fields like aerospace, software, and semiconductors. Right. So in, you know, the 30s and 40s and 50s, when the Midwest and the East Coast were all doing more industrialization, even in the late 1800s, when everything got industrialized, California was still new of a state. California didn't really start to flourish until like the 50s and 60s. And when it did, like it said, it had more tech, right? It had the entertainment industry. Aerospace was here. You know, the space program, a lot of it came out of here. It has Boeing and Raytheon. In the last 2 decades, the state has adopted policies that undermine the basis for middle-class growth. We have the highest rents. It's all this stuff. Since 2011, electricity prices have risen 5 times faster than the national average. Meantime, strict land use controls have raised housing costs to the nation's highest, while taxes, once average, considered California's urban scale, now exceed those of virtually every state. And part of it, a big part of it, and this article does go into this aspect of it, and I suggest it's a very lengthy article. The link is in the show notes. Please read the whole thing through. You know, this is a blue state, but it's a lot of corporate Democrats and their neoliberal policies. It's people like Gavin Newsom. It's people like Nancy Pelosi. It's people like used to be progressive Jerry Brown. It's people like Dianne Feinstein. It's Kamala Harris. It's all these people who, you know, now in this article, we're going into big resist Trump, but it's like we're not dealing with addressing with working class people. There's not a lot of working class jobs. In fact, and the new tech sector jobs that are coming, their wages aren't that great. They're okay, but the cost of living here is so damn high, it doesn't matter. You can get an entry-level job at $50,000 a year. Well, that's great if you live somewhere where rent is under $1,000 a month. But here, oh my God, you're talking about $2,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. That's like a average, you know? So, and it's starting to affect the population of the state. From 2014 to 2018, notes demographer Wendell Cox, net domestic outmigration grew 46,000 to 156,000, meaning there's more people leaving the state, and it's gone up over 100,000 people than coming into the state. Now, some Californians, well, good, people keep moving here and it's getting overpopulated, but there's not a lot of jobs. There are good jobs, but the cost of living here is so high, right? Now, there's some stuff in this article that I don't agree with about, there is some policies about, it's giving, it says, immigrants or undocumented are able to get driver's license now. And I don't know, I think that's a good thing, because this is what this article doesn't talk about. Here's why that specifically is a good thing. California has some of the highest car insurance rates in the country. One of the reasons is it has one of the highest rates of uninsured motors. Many of them are undocumented. And so that law actually, theoretically, we got to wait for the insurance companies to play ball, but what that does, so you got into a car accident with somebody that's undocumented and they don't have a driver's license, what are you going to do? So even if the accident was their fault, your insurance would have to pay for it. Now, you can't get car insurance unless you have a driver's license. So now you get a driver's license. Now it's mandated you have to have insurance in this state. So now you get a driver's license. Now you have to have insurance. And now we part of being having a high undocumented population, most of them are hardworking, law-abiding people, but there's just human nature being what it is. There are going to be some people that are going to commit crimes, and if there's no ID, we don't know who they are, there's no address, there's no nothing. How do we know? So I'm actually in favor of that. This journalist isn't. I think that's a good thing. But they bring some stuff here about there's too much environmental policy that's hurting workers. And this is a section in this thing that I flat out disagree with, and I want to point this out. Greens ignore practical ideas. Nuclear power, boo. Fukushima. That's all I gotta say, one word, Fukushima. They are dumping radioactive water, because they have nowhere to store it, into the Pacific Ocean in Japan. So we participate in the Pacific Ocean in California. Nuclear energy is dumb. It's dangerous and it's dumb. Nobody has ever died from a solar panel not working, unless it fell off of a roof onto someone's head. Natural gas, cars, again, do some research, journalist. You know how you get natural gas? Fracking. Fracking causes earthquakes. Fracking has explosions. There's been explosions in Colorado and Oklahoma and Texas. The number of earthquakes has gone up 100% or some crazy. I did a video on, I forgot how many. It's it went from 20 earthquakes a year to 100 or 1,000 or some crazy number like that. So this is dumb. You don't know what you're talking about here. Job creation in affordable areas and home-based work. Now this I actually agree with. They could help reduce emissions without disrupting people's lives. One of the things this thing is saying is, forcing everybody to get an electric car, people can't afford that. Well, this journalist didn't do enough research. I bought an electric car. The list price was $37,000. That's expensive. But all the dealership deals, then there's a state tax break. Then I got $5,000 back in cash if you're a first-time car buyer. I put $6,000 down in cash. I got $500 of it back from the state. Well, $4,500 from the state and $500 from Southern California Edison. So I ended up only having to put $1,000 down in a car. So now this $37,000 car ended up being about 20 grand. So having more electric vehicles and and an infrastructure for that, the more people, the more electric vehicles are out there, and all these car companies are adding electric vehicles to their fleet now. They make them more affordable. One of the things this article also brings up is the bigger coastal cities, of course, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, all of the Bay Area. You know, there's money, money gets pulled from cities in the middle of the state to the bigger cities by the coast. That's a reasonable thing. Money should be used for infrastructure, highway infrastructure. Instead, it goes to public transportation plans because public transportation plans look sexier. I debate that a little because I've seen public transportation, just the extending of the light rail in Los Angeles is actually, more people are riding it. So, so there's some stuff in this, but this home-based work and, you know, reducing emissions without disrupting people's lives, I'm open to things that whatever is the best way to do that. But nuclear power and natural gas is awful. It's awful. So I wonder if this guy either just isn't as informed or he's being paid by them to write this op-ed piece, which very much could be the case. Because the fossil fuel industry spends a lot of money and nuclear energy spends a lot of money pushing stuff like this. This is how op-ed pieces get pushed through by the ruling class. California's industrial growth has fallen to the bottom tier of states. Last year, it ranked 44th. California increasingly resembles a model of what the late Tachi Saikaya called high-tech feudalism with a small population of wealthy residents and a growing mass of modern-day serfs. That I agree with, and that's actually true. And I'm not a fan of these unelected tech billionaires. They've gutted, the soul of San Francisco is gone. So read this article for yourself. Come to your own conclusions. I appreciate Faye sending this so that we can all take a look at it, and it's good food for thought to discuss and even debate. And one of the things on the show, you know, it's good to have debates on this show. It's good to talk about what's the best. One of the things that I do like about this op-ed piece is it's pointing out some problems and offering a varied number of solutions. I don't agree with all of the solutions, but if we agree there's a problem, then let's have a discussion and even a debate on how to solve those problems. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. You know, we've spent all this money on high-speed rail in this state. It's never even gotten done. It's never even finished. So, and this is what happens when you have a state run by a bunch of neoliberal corporate Democrats. So it's why we need more real progressives, and why getting involved on a local level in your politics is important. Look at, and I'm blanking on her name, the woman that is the openly socialist on Seattle's city council. Look what she's done. And Amazon spent $1.5 million to try to defeat her, and they lost, and now they're passing a new resolution saying companies like Amazon can't do that. So get involved on a local level, because this kind of stuff, California is the 5th largest economy in the world, and it should be leading the world, not having a higher disparity between a bunch of tech billionaires and then everybody else is struggling to pay their bills and driving for Uber and Lyft and Grubhub and barely getting by because the rents are too high and everything else. So I'm glad this was sent to me. I'm glad we're discussing it. Thanks for watching the show. And you can do what Faye has done, which is go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and submit articles like this for me to discuss. And I appreciate you guys are all political vigilantes. You're bringing information to me that I can bring out to everybody else. And all of you viewers, I trust that you're all very intelligent, well-spoken progressives that want to hear information and have discussions and debates. That's what a real democracy is. Real democracy is a discussion, it's a debate, and trying to come up with the best solution for everybody. Not what's best for me, not what's best for you, what's best for all of us. Go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, and all the tour dates are at grahamelwood.com. January 25th, we are in Valencia, California. Ron Placone and myself. February 8th, we're in Tucson, Arizona. The 9th, we're doing Jimmy Dore's show in Tempe. February 29th, we're in San Francisco. Come out for that show. March 12, 13, and 14, we are in Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. Yes, we just added Tampa. April 24, 25, we're in Seattle and Portland, Oregon. May, we are going to Indianapolis, Detroit, and Cleveland. June, we're in Chicago and Milwaukee. No, June, we're in Louisville, Nashville, and Atlanta. Those ticket links aren't up yet, but they will be. And in July, we're in Milwaukee and Chicago. We're going to be adding new tour dates every week, so check back at grahamelwood.com. And if I'm coming to a city near you, buy a ticket so we can meet. Thanks for watching.